You're not honest. I know you're not honest. You know you're not honest. Don't give me that. You know what you did. You know that you broke the law. Well, hello there. Old man Kelley here. Jeff to my friends. How's everybody doing out there today? So, what do you do that's illegal? What do you do that's technically breaking the law? You know, a lot of us are on that fence between right and wrong, and sometimes the wrong side doesn't seem as wrong as it should, so we... Speeding. How many of us drive over the speed limit in our cars? How many of us don't quite stop at that stop sign when no one's around? Or quickly make that right turn on a red light without coming to a complete stop because they want to beat the traffic that's coming down the road. Technically, all illegal. Technically, I won't say everybody, but a good percentage of the people from what I've seen do this. Have you ever downloaded music from a friend's CD and put it in your iTunes library? Copyright violation, my friend. I'm not being holier than thou since I'm guilty of all these things myself. The reason why I'm talking about it is the other day I was getting my hair cut. You can see how short it is now, off the ears. And as I've said in the past, I don't talk while getting my hair cut. But behind me was a gentleman cutting another gentleman's hair, and I couldn't help but hear their conversation. And they were talking about all sorts of things, and at one point, the gentleman getting his hair cut mentioned a film he had just seen, and he liked it a lot, and didn't want to tell the hairstylist about it because I guess it would spoil it. But the hairstylist asked if it is on Netflix or whatever, and the guy said, no, this is a new movie. I just saw it in the theaters. In fact, it's been nominated for a few Academy Awards. And the guy was like, oh, cool. And he goes, a friend of mine gave me this website where you can download films for free, even for films that are still in the theater. And I've heard of people doing this before, but then the person in the chair getting his haircut, without blinking an eye, said, oh, that's cool. You should check this film out and tell me what you think of it. The hairstylist basically said he's going to go and steal this film without paying for it. And the guy getting his haircut didn't even flinch and was like, well, that's okay as long as you don't get caught. I don't get it. How do we reach this point? I mean, what he was basically saying is, I got a friend who works in a bank, and I'm going to go in there, and he just hands me a handful of cash. And why is it okay to steal copyrighted material like movies and music and feel good about it? And everybody does it. I've had friends who talk about going to the library and checking out a bunch of CDs, going home, copying them to iTunes, then going back to the library. You don't have to pay for it then. Yeah, but it's copyrighted. I know musicians and movie makers in Hollywood that make so much money, they're not going to care about the pennies they'll get from you. Does that make it right? One day after work, me and a bunch of people were out having beers at a local bar. We're all sitting around a big table, everybody talking, having a good time. Somehow Beatle talk started, and I didn't start the conversation, though I could have. I've been known to start conversations about the Beatles before, but I wasn't. I just sat back and listened for a moment as they were talking about, I think probably the song. I don't remember what it was, but they were probably talking about the Beatles songs they liked or something like that. And finally I spoke up because I had something to say, and what I said was, and this is what I'm getting to. And people argued with me on this point for a moment, but what I find amazing about the Beatles is all that they did, the 5 movies, the 13 albums, and all the singles of songs that weren't on those albums, and the countless TV appearances, and the world tours, and all that stuff, the Screaming Girls, all happened within 7 years. Less than that, probably. I mean, they recorded their first album in 63. They didn't get success in the United States till 64, and they were over by 1970. Really, they're probably over in the late 60s. I remember I mentioned that at the bar, and somebody said, "That can't be right. That can't be right." And I said, "That's the truth. It was a short bit of time." And that music they recorded, all those, I remember, 13 albums. That's 2 albums a year, plus singles of songs that weren't on those albums while they were doing all this other stuff. And 75-80% of those songs still get radio play. And even if you don't like their music, you have to admire their... people talk about the Beatles and how the drug part of it, the 60s and drugs, and there were some of that too. But yet, they were focused enough to still crank out some amazing music. It's remarkable. I read an interview with Mickey Dolenz, of the Monkees. I believe it was him. He was talking about he got to spend time with the Beatles while they were recording their big album, Sgt. Pepper's. Right? And he said that the thing he found remarkable about them, just spending a day or two with them in the studio, was their work ethic. It wasn't like they were all sitting around getting stoned and then recording a song. They worked like working men. Because remember, they grew up poor in Liverpool. They grew up with that working man mentality, where they worked. They took a tea break, lunch. I think we call it lunch here in America, but a tea break. He said they would sit down, they ate, they drank some tea, and then John would stand up after a certain amount of time, go, "Time to go back to work, boys." And they all got up and went back in the studio. Anyway, that's Beatle talk for today. I'll probably talk about more Beatles talk in the future. So, anyway. All right, one more thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm out of here. I got a huge poker game to go to tonight. About 50 people I'm looking forward to. So I got to get ready for that and go back to my Beatles anthology. So anyway, Domino's Pizza. They're a pizza chain. I think they're worldwide. I know they're big in the United States. Have you seen that commercial they have? And for those of you who haven't seen it before, it pretty much says something like this, that during the week their pizzas were $7.99, but on the weekends their pizzas were $12.99. And something like that. And then a guy comes out and goes, "But that's just not right. So from now on, all pizzas all the time are going to be $7.99. And they sort of pat themselves on the back for being so wonderful that they're going to offer their little cheap pizzas for $7.99. And I don't mean to rip Domino's, but I don't think their pizza is very good. Anyway, I watched the commercial. I was laughing. I was like, for the last so many years, we've been ripping you off on the weekends. But now we've decided to stop ripping you off. Aren't we wonderful people? Just seemed really odd to me that that's their commercial. Anybody else see it that way? As far as pizza goes, can I just say one thing? If you're going to buy pizzas, buy it from one of those local little stores, those one-off stores that are in your neighborhood. They're everywhere. They're on those little strip malls all the time. I've found that you get better pizza than these chain places. Screw Papa John's, screw Domino's, and screw Pizza Hut. Go to the little guy. They could use your business. Anyway, this is Old Man Kelley. Thanks for watching. A couple of you that watch. I'll try to do something next week. And maybe next week I'll try to get out of the house and do something rather than sitting here on my rocking chair. Bye.